Hi, I'm Pete Rockwell. I'm president of the Culver City Democratic Club, and we are having a election night party, watch party tonight, and we've got some guests coming. I'd like to introduce a couple of people who are working on this with me. Carlos Silbiger is here. He's going to be checking our Carlo. Carlo is a former president of the Culver City Democratic Club and longtime member. And he's been looking at the results for the election so far and giving us a report. We've got one thing that just came in as far as how many votes in Culver City were cast. Did you want to just go over that thing that's posted there, the number of votes?
Definitely. Thanks, Pete. So glad to be here. Excited that we don't get to be together in person, but I'm glad that at least we're going to have a chance to celebrate together. Whatever comes tonight, we're going to be able to celebrate the hard work of the Culver City Democratic Club and the progressive candidates and activists here. A lot of us have been fighting for over a decade to get the elections to be consolidated with the national election. And the reason should not be a surprise. In the last Culver City election, we had about 7,400 votes cast. And even before today's votes, there were already over 19,000 votes cast in Culver City. So it's very exciting. For sure, we're going to double, much more than double, the number of votes cast in Culver City. And that's more democracy and more participation. And we're going to see how that affects the political landscape of our community. So looking forward to it.
Great. Okay, well, let's, and we have behind the scenes, Kareem Salih is doing our technical work. Hi, Kareem.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for setting this up. And we're using StreamYard, and we've also got our Zoom meeting of club members that's going on simultaneously, and people can type in the chat, and some of those comments will get put into our meeting here. So we'll be checking that. Next, we've got our first candidate guest who is here now, and I'd like to introduce Kin Gee, my friend from the Culver City Democratic Club, a past president of the Culver City Democratic Club. And Kin is running for city council, and we'd like to give you a chance to say hello and answer a few questions. I just had one question. Had you ever run for office before, Kin?
No, Pete, I've never run for office. The only offices I ran before were as a delegate from Assembly District 54 to the California Democratic Party as a representative. And of course, I'm a delegate with your wife and of course other club members, Leah Pressman and Jeff Schwartz, to the California Democratic Party. So no, this is the big one, the big time. So this is the first time.
Was there anything, could you say from this campaign, anything you learned that you'd like to talk about, or anything like that?
Sure. I think this is definitely on a larger scale and scope, even though it's dealing with Culver City, and we've got a population of 39,000 folks, and the demographics have changed since the time that I came to the city 30 years ago, there's a lot of influx of new people, younger people, a lot of techies who came to the city with Amazon, Apple, and HBO. So we have a new set of demographics to deal with, and new set of circumstances. Also, the Democratic Party has changed during that time, and so we are more progressive than before. We are all for Medicare for all, universal health care, so on down the line. It's the progressive slate is something that we ran on 2 years ago, and it hasn't changed much in the time. And we're all for the $15 per hour minimum wage, etc. So we're all very progressive, and as time goes on, we continue to widen our horizons and look for better models with which to grow our party.
Well,
Kin, would you like to thank anyone that helped you during your campaign?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would like to thank my campaign manager, Paul Farazi, who's been at my side from the get-go and has been a great moral support. I'd also like to thank my campaign strategist, Deborah Weinrock, for her inimitable sense of humor and her wise counsel. So I am indebted to those people for sure. And I'd also like to thank Kimberly Ferguson for her moral support and all the folks in my neighborhood and friends who've helped me all along. So I'd like to thank all of them in the most heartfelt fashion. I can't say enough about them. I'd like to also thank the LA County Democratic Party, the Sierra Club, and the Southern chapter of the Americans for Democratic Action for endorsing me, as well as GWAR. So I'm indebted to all those people. It takes a whole village, and the village came together for me in my neck of the woods. So I'd like to express debt of gratitude to all those folks. Yeah, I hope I've covered everybody that I'd like to thank. Of course, I'd like to thank the Culver City Democratic Club for endorsing me when I ran in March for the County Central Committee, and for the past 2 years when I ran to be delegate from 8054 to the California Democratic Party. So I'd like to thank the club for that as well.
I know one issue that you had that was very important to you was the Inglewood oil field question. And I was wondering if you had gotten any support for that issue during the thing. Did you notice that people were getting educated about it, or were agreeing with you when you talked about it, or anything like that, when you talked to people about it?
I think all in all, the progressives are very supportive of the idea of phasing out fracking and drilling in the Inglewood oil field, especially the folks from Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community and the Sierra Club. I did notice that there were some folks who were somewhat reserved in the support because the city was in the city had declared its fiscal emergency, and they were wondering where the funds would come from to administer the amortization process that would allow the city to phase out of fracking and drilling in the city's portion of the Inglewood oil field. So there's a lot of support. The majority of the folks are supportive, but there was some hesitation in some parts of the city because of the pandemic and the economic downturn from the pandemic. So I did notice some reservation.
And the idea is there's been these court decisions that say that if you force the oil field to stop drilling for oil, that somehow the city would need to compensate them for some sort of loss or something. There have been court decisions, I believe, on that question. That's where this amortization would come from. Am I right?
Right. There's an expectation that because of the takings principle, that we can't just declare that this is occurring in a non-conforming zone. We have to actually compensate the oil operators, Sentinel Peak Resources, for not takings per se, but for allowing them to surrender their rights to drilling. And that study has been done by Baker and O'Brien, and they made the report as far as January of this year is concerned. However, they did not take into account the downturn of oil prices in April, which went into negative territory. So they need to give us an update as to what the resultant prices would be after the downturn that the city would owe the oil operator and the subsurface rights owners if we were to proceed with the amortization process.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, the oil prices really took a dive there, didn't they?
Yeah,
because of the economy and everything.
Yeah, in negative territory, and in the kicker is that the OPEC folks didn't really decrease their oil production to bring up the prices, so the prices really tanked and went into negative territory, and it's just slowly creeping back up, but not into the territory of the pre-pandemic time.
Ken, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you with us tonight. I wish you good luck for tonight.
Okay, thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Ken. And now we've got Carlo back. Do you have some new information on the numbers?
We do. So no one was exactly sure how long it would take to count all of these votes, but it looks like we have a large number of LA County votes coming in. And I think we actually might have a pretty good idea of how things are going to turn out. So as you can see, for City Council, Yasmin Imani McMorrin is in first place with 20% of the vote, followed by Albert Vera with 18% of the vote. It's pretty close for the next three seats. Of course, it wouldn't be a Culver City election if it wasn't close right around the break between the winners and the losers. At the moment, you have Freddie Puza inching out Daryl Mentha, who's inching out the incumbent Joran Eriksson. And so, this is just the beginning of the votes counted. If you imagine that there's probably something in the vicinity of about 25,000 votes total, the fact that there are candidates with about 7,500 votes tells me that we're getting pretty close to at least knowing where we're going this evening. Do you want to put up the other one screen? We can look at how everything else is shaping up.
Sure. There we go.
So for the school district, the incumbent Kelly Kent is far in front, followed by Paula Amazola de Herrera. And then there's a pretty large jump to former school board member Scott Zeidman and current incumbent Ann Allaire, and then Tiffany Spellman and Lauren Jagnow in the last two spots. I'd be a little surprised if this was shifting dramatically before the end of the night. So this one looks pretty solid.
Hold on. Do you think we can call out the race for Kelly Kent and Paola?
I don't know if I'd say that, but I would definitely say it would have to take something pretty dramatic for there to be a shift of 12%.
Okay, so
they're looking good.
We'll have to come back to that one, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Do you want to play another slide? No.
We can keep going. Yeah, if you'd like to show the rest, we can share with people where it's going until we're ready with our next guest.
We can call this one for sure.
Yes, this one is absolutely, definitely done. Karen Bass wins overwhelmingly like usual.
Okay.
All right.
The biggest question with that race is how long does Karen Bass sit in the seat before she's taken this for something better?
I don't know who had the gut to run against Karen Bass. I mean, it's like you may as well run against Jesus at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, looks like we've got a winner.
Yep. Sydney Comlogger, this one also looks like we can call it. I didn't think it was going to be close. So you never knew, but she's definitely winning this race by a ton.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Back to Sacramento.
Next one.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So Culver City has two measures on the ballot. Measure B, which would make it so that retroactively take away renter protection and make it so any future renter protection would have to be passed by a vote of the people. And that one's currently winning. It's pretty close, but it does have a somewhat significant margin of winning. And so it's interesting that you have progressive candidates winning for school board and city council, but those same voters decided to vote yes on this measure. Measure RE, which would increase the real estate transfer tax for those whose properties are selling for over $1.5 million, is also winning. And that's interesting. The club supported that, as did a lot of progressives. But interestingly enough, there wasn't a whole lot of money in support of that. There was a lot of money, over $60,000 against it. And so the fact that it's also winning is, an interesting sign. Again, these are only the early votes, but it's still pretty exciting to watch.
Well, we have Alex and Vice Mayor Alex Fish and Council Member Daniel Lee are gonna come soon to talk about that. Actually,
Fantastic.
51. Okay, let's do one more slide and then we'll move on.
And then,
Oh,
it didn't show up. But I can tell you in the supervisor race, it is overwhelmingly for Holly Mitchell. I think it's about 70% of the vote for her.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I'm a little surprised also. Again, these are early votes, but the fact that she's winning, it's 63-37 to her over Herb Wesson. And so, again, it looks like a pretty good start for her campaign.
so are you telling me Holly Mitchell is a winner?
Ooh, I'd like to see a little more. I'd like to see a little more on that one. Let's hold on.
Okay, let's wait. Okay, so I think it's time to get our next guest, Vice Mayor Alex Fish. Carlo, we'll see you soon with new numbers. Thank you.
Great, sure.
Thanks, Carlo. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Vice Mayor.
Hey.
Our
Whoa.
Vice Mayor, Alex Fish.
Wow, this is impressive production value.
Yeah, it's. I'm impressed myself, and I'm in the show. Vice Mayor of Culver City, your first term on the council, and you're a proponent and spokesman for Measure RE at one of our club meetings recently. RE looks like it's ahead at this point.
It's early. I don't know what to. I trust Carlo on these numbers more than really anybody at this point.
Yeah,
This is new
yeah.
for Culver City, but it's a very good sign. I mean, I think if Measure RE was going to be in trouble, it would start down, and I'm optimistic.
Yeah, it's odd that it's doing better than in B is the B is also winning, which you would think that would go hand in hand with turning that down and voting up RE. But
I think
so far there's more votes to count. But
I think two things are going on right now. One is it's early, and there may be that was a big slug of votes. It was more than I expected for the first reporting from the county. Which is actually 2.2. It's 2 points and a subpoint on that first point, which is the subpoint is that we got to remember that there are 10 separate canvases for LA County. So I don't expect, given how much mail-in voting there was, that we'll see the sort of movements that we saw in 2018. But we will have another, several weeks, 3 weeks or so of counting. So with the big moves coming pretty early, I think. The second thing that it kind of jumps out is that Measure RE is a little complicated to explain, but it's simple up or down. Do you want to keep the city humming and provide full services with a tax that looks basically like this on real estate transactions versus Measure B, which is hard to explain what really is going on. It looks like voter choice initiative, but of course it's quite explicitly rent control repeal. So
yes. So people might have looked at that and thought, oh, well, that means the voters get to pick. And that's the way they got Proposition 13 through and on the state level. Oh, well, it sounds so nice to let the voters decide.
Yeah, and I'm certainly for voter choice, but obviously that was how this was sold, and not at all what
Yeah.
was in the mind of the proponents.
Right. Right.
But it's early, and Measure RE, if it continues, if I could just for a moment talk about what that could mean for the city, and then answer any questions you have. It would be huge. We thought that we were going to have a couple shots to raise the $12 million a year that we need to kind of close the existing projected budget gap over the next 15, 20 years. And we thought we'd have one shot with one tax, which would be a business tax. And the COVID experience obviously tanked that, because I think a business tax would have quite rightly been shot down right now. It's just not the time to go to businesses with a new tax, even though we'd still, under what we were talking about, be under Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. So Measure RE covers about half of that revenue, potentially more, and we weren't expecting it. So it really decreases the financial risk to the city. And if everything goes well, we can actually start to chip away at some of the maintenance problems, the fields that are falling apart, the services that people come to us and ask for, and we keep saying, well, we can't afford it. So, it's exciting to me to talk about $6 or more million a year in revenue when we're making and being criticized for decisions that are $60,000 a year. We're talking about an order of magnitude more capacity for the city to serve its residents and stay solvent.
Well, I sure hope it passes. It sounds like a great idea, and it doesn't affect most people who buy and sell real estate. It doesn't affect people at all who don't buy and sell real estate at all. It just affects people who have enough money to buy and sell huge, high-priced real estate.
That's right,
and it affects them in a reasonable way.
That was the goal. And one thing that I wanted to articulate in this campaign and just didn't have the time or the money is that we could have set this up to hose down wealthy commercial real estate owners only. But I thought, in my mind, we've got 4 of 5 council members who, if we were to sell, would pay this tax. And 2 of us, I renovated my house for some of that value, and Thomas built his. We voted for a tax that would affect us because we I think I've said it before. We want to reject Howard Jarvisism. We want to reject Reaganism definitively, starting with this. So we wanted to have skin in the game too. Certainly, it affects the big commercial real estate tycoons much more. But as a homeowner, I'd be thrilled to be lucky enough to pay this tax.
Yeah. Well, we have Kareem. Now, did I just hear that Karen Bass is going to be here tonight, or?
Yes, she will be here tonight. She's getting ready. I'd like to introduce Daniel Lee.
Oh, great.
About Measure B.
Sure.
Daniel, how do you feel about it?
Well, the numbers aren't looking good right now, but if I understand the way Carlo is calculating the numbers, yesterday we were at about 17,000 votes, and today I think we're at like 19,000. And the current results they seem like they're about 8,000 or 9,000, if that's correct. So there's still a lot of way to go. This isn't done even tonight, and it won't be done, as Carlo mentioned, for a little while. There'll be a number of updates that we get from the city clerk around the new ballots that were counted, that were submitted on election day, provisional ballots, ballots that were mailed in, and that type of thing. Though I do think the point that Alex made earlier is incredibly salient, and both of these are tied together. No on Measure B and yes on RE. I think there's, an ideological stance around renting that might be harder to break in Culver City, possibly because of some racial history and the racial history of renters versus homeowners. But very generally, I'm not giving up the ghost yet. I think we have a very good chance. I think we had a very sort of energized constituency who worked to really implore the council to pass first the rent freeze and rent control, and renter protections to start. So I think those people were actually, really energized in this effort as well. And I'm hoping that their efforts are borne out in the results that we see coming out later. I think as we mentioned before, there was a lot of disinformation that was purposeful to try to confuse people, to try to say this is giving you a choice, when, by and large, if you have a choice on every single piece of policy, then you will never be able to go to work or spend time with your family. I think one of the biggest ways where we have choices both on the local, county, state, and federal level is by choosing the appropriate people to represent us. And as I mentioned before in this campaign, when I ran in 2016, and then when I ran in 2018, I mentioned rent control as a priority for me in my campaign. I know there's been a lot of disinformation from the Yes on B campaign saying that no one ran on this and this is a bait and switch, which is, a normal strategy for conservatives to say that you're doing what we're actually doing. But I sort of have faith in the people that we can actually still pull this out, and I hope we actually do. But I'd be curious if anyone else has any comments on this, particular measure, because it was a bit more difficult because of the way our opponents framed it, basically. But I do think we can still succeed.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that Measure B goes down, and we'll see. We've got a lot more votes to count.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, and one of the things that's very encouraging to me is that in the initial vote tally, which I assume is mostly vote by mail tallies, Yasmin and Maury McMorrin came in first. I think Freddie Puza was in third. And these are two candidates who came out very vocally in favor of rent control and very vocally against Measure B. And I think that bodes well for us if they continue to see good numbers.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that measure will not pass.
Yes,
I
me
have
too.
many more comments, but this is a PG-13. This is a I don't want to say anything that's going to bite me in the ass later on. So,
I think ass is permissible even under PG. So I think
it's loosening. Things are loosening up all over.
Went to film school. PG, you can say ass.
Yeah.
At any rate, I will be really dismayed if that measure pass, and I will be so sorry for half of the population in this city that will experience a lot of hardship because of that.
But if it does pass, that just means the new council has more work to do. The measure passing would make our work harder, but it doesn't mean that we can't really get what we need done. In a different way, of course, we'd have to do another ballot measure to make rent control permanent. But I think given the time to actually focus on the measure explicitly without obfuscation and without disinformation, we could definitely make it a success. So I'm not giving up on success tonight, but even if we lose tonight, I think there's a lot of leeway for us to still protect renters in this city. And I think that's really a priority for a lot of us on the council and for potential future colleagues.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. Have a great evening, and I hope it's going to work for you. And
have a good night.
Thanks, Daniel. And now we have Congresswoman Karen Bass.
Hi.
How are you, Karen? Hi.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Glad to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. This is new. I love this. Culver City.
Yeah, we're making the big time now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, should I say Karen or Congresswoman Karen Bass? I don't know. I'm so starstruck. I'd just like to play something because it seems to me absolutely obvious for tonight. So here it is.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You were our first winner. First time we got to play a winning song tonight. So
Oh, I
thanks
like
for the opportunity there. You did a great
Oh.
job.
I appreciate that. Now we just need another one for the top of the ticket. Oh my
Yeah, we sure do, boy.
God.
We need that really badly.
Exactly. Exactly right.
So I'm an optimist person. I'm assuming that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be elected. How do you feel for the future and how it's going to unfold for you?
Oh, well, to me, this election has always been about life and death. With over 200,000 Americans who died in the last few months, that's what I believe is online right now. I mean, if you think about it, Trump has gone across the country back and forth, spreading the virus instead of taking care of the people. And so I'm optimistic. I mean, we were told from the beginning that the election probably wouldn't be determined tonight and it was going to be close. We were told that. Of course, I was hoping for something different, but it is following exactly as we expected. So I am very hopeful that we will have an inauguration in January with President Biden and Vice President Harris.
Yeah, I think that's still the likely outcome. I was just hoping for the kind of landslide where we'd all know by now.
Me too.
And we could all enjoy a good night's sleep. It's going to be a long haul for the next few weeks, it sounds like.
I know, we're lucky to be on the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, is it okay to call you Vice President, even if we know?
No, there is Vice President Kamala Harris. That's what I'm hoping to say before the evening is over.
Me too.
Congresswoman Karen Bass, thank you so much for coming. It was a real pleasure to have you with us. I really appreciate you taking the time to do the setup and talking to us. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Same here. Thank you, Karen.
Okay.
Have a great day, a great evening. Bye-bye.
You too.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay. Carlo, that's you. You coming next.
Yes,
Talk about
so
numbers.
we have some new results, and it looks like there's about 17 or 18,000 Culver City ballots that have been counted already. And so we can imagine that that's probably over half, actually almost for sure over half of the vote in. And as I said when I was here a bit ago, everything's pretty steady with the exception of those couple seats in the city council race right on the edge that seem to be flipping back and forth. So at the moment, the incumbent, Göran Eriksson, has taken a little bit of a lead over Daryl Mentha for the fourth place seat. Very close. The difference between them is only about 300 votes out of 17,000 cast. And then the difference between Göran Eriksson, who's the runner-up, and Freddie Puza, who's the third place winner at this moment, is only about 250 votes. So we're talking about really, really close right now. Races for city council. On the ballot measures, it looks as if both have tightened a little bit. So the difference between the yes on B and the no on B is about 2,000 votes. And so they've tightened a little bit. And then on RE, it's actually just over 1,000 votes. So those are tightening. We'll see what happens. I think the big question is, who are the voters who voted today? Are they more likely to vote for progressive candidates or more conservative candidates? Progressive ideas or more conservative ideas? Because that, I think, is mostly what we have missing at the moment.
Well, we have a lot of time to kill.
What's happening? What's happening on the national level? It is close, right?
It is. I mean, right now it looks like there aren't any swing states that have been called. They did call Virginia, and they did call New Mexico, and a number of the other states that are, that used to be swing states. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't look like any of the swing states have yet been called at the moment. And I have a feeling that's going to be the case for most of the evening. I could be wrong, But I think what the Congresswoman said is going to hold true, that the national results are going to take a few days because it's going to be so incredibly close.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I am sort of curious. I wonder what you both think. I was listening to Vice Mayor and council members speak, and I wonder what you both think about this idea of having a progressive majority city council, which seems like almost a certainty at this point, right? When the two of them continue, and Yasmin looks like she's for sure going to win, so you end up with a progressive majority and no ability to actually pass any kind of renter protection or rent control. What does that look like? And I wonder, any thoughts about how that's going to play out in our community, where the voters are sort of giving us mixed messages here, I think.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Lee was just talking about if it does go down, or I should say, if Measure B passes and we end up with no rent control and back to where we started more than a year ago, Daniel was saying, well, we should definitely go ahead and do a ballot initiative to change it if under this new rule, and maybe concentrating on that and having approaching it from a more positive, we want this to pass, rather than voting something down. He thought it might work, and he's still hopeful that Measure B will lose, but he's ready to try again if necessary, and I hope everybody is. Yeah. If necessary. I hope it's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Kareem.
Well, my take is, if it does pass, it will have a right for 2 years, because we're going to come back forcefully to remove that measure in 2 years. And, we have a backstop, which is the legislation from the state that will still protect somewhat the renters up to a certain limit. It will not be as good as the measure that the policies that we have here in Culver City. Not at all. Actually, over the period of 10 years, I believe, if my math is right, if we stay on the state policies, renters will be paying about 2 or 3 times more than if we were on the Culver City policy.
Wow.
So hopefully it will not pass, and that will be better for the renters and all those families.
Oh, yeah.
We're losing about 100 families a year because of prices and rents. The rents are too high, and they have to move out. It's part of a gentrification system that I don't like. I want my friends to stay around, and I'm hoping they will. I'm hoping that measure will be defeated.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And there's, I would imagine that there might be a world in which the next couple of years can be taken to really do a lot of renter organizing. I don't know that that's happened before. I know that Protect Culver City Renters has been doing it, but I think there's a world in which some real political organizing around renters could make a huge difference. But you're right; it's going to be a 2-year time where who knows what's going to happen, and hopefully by 2022 we'll be in a better position if that ends up being the case. I will say that my guess is that the voters who voted today, which are the votes yet to be counted, are younger voters, and therefore probably more politically progressive in Culver City. So maybe making up 2,000 votes is a lot, but maybe there's a chance that can happen.
Yes, I hope so. I mean, I hope it will not pass. I'm really pleased with Measure RE. This was completely unexpected to start with such a good advance.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
The shocker with that one, I actually have been really surprised over the course of this election. I don't know, Pete, what you think, but, Culver City considers themselves to be a pretty progressive town. Every time there's been a tax increase to fund city services, basically everyone's gotten behind it. This is the first time I can remember where you had a tax on the ballot, and a lot of moderate Democrats were saying, we don't want to fund Culver City services. We're not going to vote for it. Not sure what happened, but I definitely think this was sort of a big shift in Culver City.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. It sounds like there was an awful lot of money going into this thing.
Yeah.
And it was probably coming from the same sources that the money going into Proposition B was coming from. You know, it makes a difference.
Yeah. About at the last reporting, about $65,000 spent on the yes on RE, excuse me, the no on RE campaign, which is unbelievable when you think about a city our size.
65,000?
65,000. I'm sure it's more in the last few weeks of the campaign. So you're right. I mean, and it was a Sacramento lobbying firm with a Sacramento address. The No on RE campaign was funded by just a few sources, big businesses in Culver City who were going to get hit by a lot. You know, the average person, you have a $3 million home, you sell it once every 20 years. That's not going to be a big amount for you. But the big businesses, when they try to sell, that's going to be a huge amount. And they were willing to put $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 into defeating it.
Makes sense for them, you know, versus a few $1 million to lose, or a little campaign, this one.
Yep, absolutely. Drop in the bucket.
But some of these players are so big. I mean, they're the biggest.
I'd like to go back to the council race. What's surprising to me is usually in the past, when you are an incumbent, you're pretty much in for the next round. But this time, with that consolidated election, it seems like it's not a given. Johan Eriksson has a big name recognition, and yet it's still not third place, at least. So that's a surprising to me. It's a shocker. It's what we call here an upset. So the numbers will still coming in, but maybe he'll make third place. But I was surprised he was not more ahead of the game.
Yeah, you have to remember, Kareem, that he was an incumbent that just barely squeaked by ahead of Daniel Lee by just a couple hundred votes in the election 4 years ago. And this is a different electorate. You know, we have a lot of young people, a lot of people who haven't voted before, and it is a big deal. But it's still, I could see how you could end up with that. I have something to apologize for. I can't believe it. But this is what happens when you end up with first time doing this and trying to navigate the technology. So when we just did that update, and I updated the numbers and shared with you, the vote count for Measure B actually flipped, and I didn't catch it. So the good news is that Measure B is now going down 56-44, not the other way around. My apologies for sending us down that rabbit hole, but I'm glad I was able to catch it and bring it back. So,
the numbers were similar, and you thought that they'd stayed the same. Oh,
exactly,
wow! Yeah.
Exactly. So, RE right now is winning by 1,000, and B is losing by 2,000 votes. Which, as I said, I couldn't imagine making that up. I think it'll be really tough for B to come back from that. It's actually looks like a bit of, at the moment, I mean, we'll have to see, but it looks like a pretty amazing combination of stuff for Culver City right now.
Wow, I hope they both win. Well, it just goes to show you we don't really know what's going on yet. We got to find out more information.
Yes.
We know just enough to get confused.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, thanks for that.
We're going to have a Freddy Pusa coming at, let me see. Freddy Pusa will be arriving at 4:24. So please hang on, folks. We're going to be still bringing some numbers, some more charts. I'm looking at the CNN page. It looks like Biden is still winning.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a long haul for that, I think.
Yeah, but Pete, Kareem, I don't know. Maybe I was a little optimistic here, but after 4 years of Trump in office and everything that's happened, I just thought this was going to be a lot more one-sided. I'm shocked that we're still running down to these last minutes. Did you have any sense of how this was going to turn out?
No.
I felt the same way. I felt the same way you did, Carlo. I was just getting all kinds of feelings that, people were gonna just can't wait to get rid of this guy Trump. But I was hoping, I convinced myself that we were going to get a landslide, and by midnight tonight we'd know the answer. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. We're going to be dragging this thing out while they count votes and fight over whether to count votes. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah. It's amazing to me the number of lawyers who are already being deployed, the amount of votes that are going to be fought over. If this is as tight as it is, it's not going to be decided the next couple of days. This is going to go through the courts for quite a bit.
And the Senate, I was hoping the Senate would be more of a blowout too. Looks like the guy in Texas is going to win, and of course McConnell won. They called it for McConnell, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham won, yeah.
So we could get rid of him.
He kept whining about how the other guy had so much more money than him, and please send me some money.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why people re-elect someone who's not able to keep up his own words. It's just crazy to me. I don't get it.
Yeah. The Senate is another one where it looked like a bit of a blue wave coming in with the polling the last few days, and maybe it still will be. Most of the races have not been called, but it would have been nice to get 5 or 6 seats and really have a little bit of wiggle room. And now it's looking like fighting for those. I mean, I saw before coming on here that Democrats won in Colorado. But Arizona looks too close still to call, and it's going to be tough. We'll see.
Wow.
Do we have more numbers for our own local elections?
Nothing coming in yet. How about questions from the folks in the Zoom room?
So that's the thing. I always wanted to connect the StreamYard feed with the Zoom, and I was not able to do so.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy technology, but this one was too much for me. So it's literally 2 separate universes, and I don't know what they're saying on one side, and I'm not sure if they can even hear us here.
Should we try to get some of the questions that people have put in there, and should I try and find some
questions? There's a question right there. 5%.
Oh, okay.
That's a great question. If you're talking about in Culver City, unfortunately, they're not sharing that. They're only sharing county-wide numbers right now. But I'm estimating, I don't know what the total vote count was in Culver City today, but I'm estimating that we're probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 70% of the vote in for Culver City, people who voted before today. So it's a good amount. It's a good amount. Yeah.
It's going to be a huge turnout.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I have a little angel living in my home that's going to try to grab some questions from the Zoom meeting. So
oh, great. Yeah, I was thinking there would be a way that you could, that'll be the way to do it. Just read that Zoom chat.
Okay,
see if there's anything good.
Freddy Puza is here. Let me introduce him. I'm so glad. Freddy. I have a little angel living in my home that's going to try to grab some questions from the Zoom meeting.
Oh, great. Your words are coming back to you. Hi, Freddy.
Yeah. How's it going? Good to see everyone tonight.
There would be a way that you could, that'll be the way to do it.
Freddy, I'd like you to close the window and explain the show. Okay,
see if there's anything good.
Freddy Puza is here. Let me introduce him. I'm so glad. Freddy. Hello. Little angel living in my home that's gonna. We have a little technical issue. Freddy, I'd like you to close the window, your browser, so you don't play both the recording and the playing at the same time. Is that working now?
Yep. Sorry about that.
Okay, awesome. Woo!
Here we are.
I can hear you.
Great.
How you doing there?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for doing this. It's really exciting, really fun, actually. I've been enjoying the commentary and all the stats that you're bringing in. It's really a close race right now, so really exciting. But I'm really excited for everything that's going on. Thank goodness for RE and B, and so I'm really. Tonight is going to be a very interesting night. There's so much going on, up and down the ticket on so many levels. So, keep on holding my breath for, anywhere from the local all the way to the national. So it is not going to be a short night. It's going to be a long night, but looking forward to it.
Freddie, do you want to thank anybody from your team for that campaign that you won?
Yeah, thank you. I want to really thank my incredible team of volunteers who were the backbone of my campaign. In particular, Scott Kecken, Christine Kale, Eddie Flores, Leah Pressman, Jess Schwartz, Adrian Narayan, Christo Gobin, and I had an intern from LMU, Ian Reyes. They kept me focused, they kept me guided, they gave me wise counsel, and most important, they kept me sane. It's been an incredible journey. Thank you to all the elected officials, including U.S. Congresswoman Karen Bass, who was just on. It was an incredible honor to be endorsed by her. To Daniel Lee, who was the first elected official to endorse me, Senator Holly Mitchell, Vice Mayor Alex Fish, Council Member Megan Sally Wells, and West Hollywood Mayor Lindsay Horvath. And all the many organizations, including the Stonewall Democrats, the Culver City Democratic Club, the Victory Fund, Sierra Club, and the LA Federation of Labor who endorsed me, and just all the other people who have contributed in large and small ways. I can't thank everyone enough.
Had you ever run for anything before, Fred?
No. This is, I have been appointed to the General Plan Advisory Committee and the Committee on Homelessness. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so this is my first time.
What was this? Was there anything that surprised you running for office for the first time? Was there anything you learned that you hadn't expected to, or anything? I don't know. It's a unique experience.
Very steep learning curve. I'm just leaning on people who, everyone said lean on people who've done it before, and that is such incredible advice to all people who are out there who are thinking about running in the future. I'm really just leaning on those that came before you, and making sure that I want to make sure the right experience and the right volunteer work, and make sure those the right time, and really put thought into the decision-making process. So yeah, it's a wonderful journey. There's a lot of highs and lows. Tonight is one of those nights of mixed emotions. But it's been a great experience. And again, I've learned even more about Culver City than I ever imagined, and getting able to speak to even a wider reach of people in the city about what really concerns them, and what they're really interested in, and what makes them tick. And how to best address those issues. So that is such a wonderful part. I think I've developed great friendships throughout this process, and also learning so much more about the city. And I really hope to continue in that path, regardless of what happens tonight, but to really continue to, help the city. One of the great things about Culver City is its size and its accessibility to so many levels of, local government. All the council members has always been, when I reach out, they've always returned calls, and there's that community and what I call the spirit of Culver City. So that is really strong and vibrant. So it's been great to be a part of that. And I hope to, more and more people in the city connect with that.
That's great.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I have a question for you, Freddie. I'd like to know, do you think the negative campaign you've been subjected to has been actually playing in your favor?
Yeah, that was very unexpected. You know, at the local level, we really expect to keep it really positive. And the fact that that was done really gave Yasmin and I an opportunity to really talk about what we are really thinking about public safety, and what we're really talking about of reimagining public safety and reinvesting in our community. So I do think it was a good opportunity to really be able to share that and talk to more people. The more and more that I talk to people about what I'm talking about, it really alleviates some of the fear that people are experiencing when talking about some of these issues, and a lot of the fear mongering that's out there that really doesn't allow people to understand fully what I'm talking about in the first place when I'm talking about public safety and including all people in, you know, feeling safe and being protected. So yeah, I do think it did help. I received a lot of phone calls and texts that were people were very not happy with the tactics that were used because it was so personal and you know and dangerous.
Yeah, apparently this public relations firm that the cops hired to go after you guys, and they do that for police departments all over. It's their specialty, and it's always the same kind of pattern. I think we're going to be seeing more of this across the country because the same thing is happening to a lot of towns. That the money's suddenly gotten very short and is scarce, and this thing with the cops getting all the budget has been going on for years and years, and there's something that's got to be done about it. The cities and counties are just in desperate situations as far as money goes, all across the country.
Agreed. And I think that, you know, when we're thinking about budgets, and we're thinking about public safety, it's a lot of fear mongering that doesn't allow people to access the information about what we're actually talking about. There's no way, again, when I talk to people, you know, at the end of the day, they're like, it seems actually reasonable what you're saying. And so it's increasing safety for everyone. And in no way am I advocating for lawlessness or you know, anarchy, and in no way is it going to be tomorrow all of a sudden there's no police and there's no protection for anyone. That is not what we're talking about, but it's actually bringing people together to really talk about what it means to be safe and to feel truly protected in this city. And it involves, you know, bringing people to the table who have been historically prevented from being at the table. And so the same safety that a lot of residents feel, including myself, we're just talking about increasing that so everyone can feel safe. So agreed. And, you know, I think it's the more information, the more we talk about it, the more we, you know, unpack everything, the more people understand what's going on. And at the same time, it's not just eliminating that money, it's also reinvesting in people in the community. In prevention and restorative justice practices, which actually increases safety. The more, you know, it's also about talking about housing. When people have stability in their lives, it actually decreases crime. So this is really a transformation of our city and our society, and Culver City really has a chance to become a model city, and we're on our way to doing that, and really, you know, leading in that way. So again, it's bringing people together, it's building community and talking about these issues. And yeah. Well,
I'm glad you're on our side.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on your side too. Yeah.
One thing that people seems not to understand is when you become city council member, they don't give you a magic wand to do whatever you want. If Megan had a magic wand, we will have black lane everywhere in the city right now. But there is a process, and that's something that takes time. The public needs to have input into that, and I believe you will respect the process. It's not like you get a blank check to do whatever you can. It's a council after all, right?
It is. Yeah. That's a really good point, and it isn't, you know, tyranny or just do whatever we want. And so we're beholden to, the council is beholden to all of the residents. I think that's a really good point that you bring up, Kareem. And so it is like, this is a big process. These are big, and this issue, and whether we're talking about housing, whether we're talking about the environment or whatever, like these are big issues that we have to really get consensus and talk about and bring people together. And as we think about the general plan that is being updated right now, making sure that we're very inclusive and intentional about who we include in our conversations, to make sure that it's equitable, and really addressing anyone from, where we're having, in the past 10 years, we've seen households making over $150,000 a year, quadrupling, but making sure it serves their needs, but also making sure that it serves, the working single mother. And so I think that it's got to be inclusive of everyone, and we have to work really hard to make sure that all those people are included.
Okay, well, thanks for coming to our meeting, Freddie. And I think we got another candidate for city council who's going to be here for a short visit, Daryl Menthe. Hi, Daryl.
Hi.
What did you say, Kareem?
I was saying thank you for
Oh, yes.
I'm glad we have our sausage maker here.
Hi, Daryl.
Hi.
Daryl is with us. Thank you for being here, Daryl. How do you
Yeah,
feel
thank you for
tonight?
having me. It's been an extraordinary evening, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, it's still going on.
Oh, it is. It's going to be going on for quite some time, I imagine,
Yeah.
both locally and nationally. But,
Yeah.
I sat literally right in this spot in 2016 on that November day, watching, the unexpected happen, the unimaginable happen. So it's sort of interesting to see here. I was hoping to see the nation do a better job. And still optimistic.
Yeah.
But gosh, it's been an amazing race. And certainly, as we watch the results come in tonight, what a nail biter locally as well.
Yeah, and locally, are you running for elected office for the first time?
Yes.
Is this what surprised you about doing such a thing as running for office? Anything? Was it what you expected?
Well, I lost my manual on how to campaign during a pandemic. I'm sure somebody else has one, but I just couldn't find another copy. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You can write it. You may have to write that manual. We'll all have to get together and write a manual on how to campaign during a pandemic.
No,
it's different.
There's been so much about this that's been so unexpected.
Yeah.
What has been wonderful has been the incredible support of friends, family, neighbors. I mean, it's a heck of a thing to go out there and to just talk to people and say, "Will you vote for me?" And will you support me? And then to watch people come out and be willing to stand behind you is a wonderful thing to see. The unexpected things, of course, were the short answer is how unexpectedly nasty the race became in some ways. I mean, very specific ways, right? I was not expecting the Police Officers Association to behave the way it did. And I think most of us were really taken aback by public servants acting in a way as if they didn't want to be in the city at all. So it's going to be quite a while before that heals, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daryl. The negative campaign done by the Culver City Police Officer Association will be online for eternity as long as we have internet, and those documents will still popping up at every election, and that's not good for the city. That the people who are protecting us are attacking some of us. This is really strange, and I've been a volunteer in patrol for the police, and I truly believe that most of the individuals living and working in Culver City and working for the police, Culver City Police, are great individuals, really good, well-hearted people. but it seems like there is some sort of a culture that needs to culture shift that needs to happen, and I'm hoping it will in the next few years. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of nasty comments in Facebook and so on.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, that too. Well, it also has been kind of amazing. As I sort of joke with people, what I had expected to be doing was spending my weekends knocking on doors, walking around neighborhoods, wearing out shoes, and losing weight. None of that happened, because we didn't get to do any of that. We had to try to meet the public in electronic means, in ways that we've never tried before. So doing that in a general election, it's been a challenge, but it's been an exciting challenge, a challenge of a lifetime. So I'm just delighted to be here.
Would you like to thank anybody from your team? No,
Oh, sure. Thanks. I mean, I want to thank, gosh, there's so many people that I would want to thank. Dean Purvis, my webmaster, Crystal Litz, my campaign consultant, Francisco Ruiz, who put together my logo, all the people who, walked for me to do the door hanging, my volunteer coordinator, Josh Chamberlain, Madeline Stewart, Eric Pazel, Dale Larson, gosh, I'm forgetting so many people as I'm thinking, Ryan Wolf, and then of course, all those who endorsed me, right? Without Alex Fish's support, I don't know if I could have done this race. Megan Sally Wells was there for me, and it was incredible. And of course, every organization, the Stonewall Democrats, the West Side Young Democrats, and North Karen Bass, so many people who looked at me and decided to take a chance on me and to trust that I would do right by this city. So it's been exciting. And there's so many people that I'll have to thank. I guess we'll find out, in a few hours, in what capacity I'm thanking them, but I'm thanking them nonetheless.
When Megan ran the first time, and I want to say that because I'm looking at the number and it's very, very short. We don't know between you and Johan Eriksson. What happened is Megan lost the first run, her first race, by 31 votes. 31 votes. You can fit more people in a restaurant than 31 votes. And so it happens. And whatever happened, I'd like you to be sure that you're not discouraged and that you will run again. Because I think you did a worthy campaign, and I'd like you to run again. Never be discouraged. And so did Albert Vera, by the way. He also ran again, and it seems like it's working for him.
Yes, well, thank you for that. It's certainly going to be a long and interesting time to think about all this and to think about what happened and how all this worked. However it turns out. But we've never had a campaign in the general election. I think there was so much that we didn't know. Although it is surprising at the end of the day, the extent to which the results were scattered. I think probably everyone in this race was expecting that there would be sort of a more clear winner. That maybe certain people would run away with popularity or not. The fact that we have a big cluster with nobody getting more than, I think, 20% of the vote at this point is really surprising. In an election that is so polarized, where Democrats outnumber Republicans almost 6-1 in this town. So it'll give everyone a lot to think about. And will I be discouraged? Should I not prevail? Of course. In the short term, this is, you have your heart set on something and it doesn't happen, then how else do you feel? But, I every time I was asked why I was running, I said the same thing, because I love this city. And that's not going to change. In fact, that's the longer I'm here, the more I care about this place. And so you will see me again.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Daryl.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl.
Have a great evening. And we'll look at the numbers, and we hope it's going to work for you.
I will keep watching.
Okay, coming next, I think Carlo, we're gonna write the number. We're gonna look at the number again, and then it's gonna be Yasmini Mani McMahon is gonna be here with us. I'm eager to hear from her. So
Fantastic.
go ahead, Carlo.
Yeah, so a couple updates. The city numbers have not changed. We looked at them a little bit ago. Still that extremely close city council race between the third, fourth, and fifth place people, all within about 600 votes of each other. And so nothing changed there. I did want to update the school board numbers because those have come in, but nothing has changed in terms of the order. Still about a 10% difference between the second and third place finishers. And so that leads me to be pretty close. I don't know if we want to celebrate quite yet, but it's getting close because that's a pretty big margin. There would have to be something dramatically different than the people voted today from the ones before. I also wanted to take a look at the county supervisor race. Because more numbers have come in there, but amazingly, it still is a huge margin for Holly Mitchell. This was a race. Everyone who lives in Culver City has probably got trash cans full or recycling bins full of mail from both campaigns. And I at least thought this was going to be very close. The LA County Democratic Party endorsed Herb Wesson. I expected this to be a really close race, and it may still be. But at the moment, Holly Mitchell is really running away with the election, which is pretty exciting. So those are the big updates for the moment from the numbers.
Okay.
Well, I'm really excited for Holly Mitchell. I worked for her campaign a lot, and I wanted to help Holly Mitchell because I believe it's truly a question of life and death in that race. Herb Wesson received a lot of money from police agencies, while Holly Mitchell pledged not to receive or take any money at all. It is, to me, a very, very important race, and I think that with Holly Mitchell at the seat at the LA County Board of Supervisors, that's going to be so much better for the whole county.
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful, and she will win. I'm sure she will. We were kind of worried for a while because there were so many mailers coming attacking her with such bogus arguments.
Well, and in the primary, Herb was a little bit ahead of her, right?
Yep.
They had to have a runoff, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. But
Nobody got 50%, so they had to have a runoff.
Exactly. And also, Holly Mitchell didn't get the LA County Democratic Party endorsement as well.
That's right.
Big blow. There have been several matters coming from them in favor of Mr. Wesson, and that did not bode well for the Team Holly. However, the number proved otherwise, so I'm really, really pleased.
Yeah.
So far, anyway.
Yeah, I think this is one of those unfortunately rare situations in politics where, a person goes to Sacramento, does exactly what the voters send her to do, right? She passed incredibly important anti-discrimination legislation, housing legislation. I've had long conversations with her about housing policy and homelessness. And she then takes that and immediately enacts important legislation in Sacramento. And the voters are rewarding her for doing what she said she was going to do. And the LA Times came out with one of the most positive endorsements I've ever seen in her case. So I think this is this is an important sign for our district. And I agree with you, Kareem. It's really, really amazing that she's winning right now.
Okay, well, I have the pleasure to announce our next candidate and probably winner, Yasmin Imani McMorran. Yasmin, thank you for being with us. Let us know how you feel now.
Oh, well, I'm really happy to be here. This coverage is super professional. So kudos to the club. I really appreciated the information tonight. So thank you all. But I mean, I'm still sort of like, I've been a bundle of nerves today. We had our little Team Yasmin Zoom earlier from 8 to 9. And it was really nice to see volunteers and folks who have been really instrumental with getting the word out and phone and text banking, postcarding, all of the things. So that was really encouraging. And then we got some of the first, some of the numbers back. So it was really, I'm just really humbled and very grateful. So I guess I say all that to say, I feel great.
Well, good. You deserve to feel great. You've been working pretty hard.
Yeah, I really, and it's not just me, obviously. I want to shout out to the amazing team, Disa and Michelle. Of course, Kareem here. We've utilized StreamYard for a lot of our, look at my champagne glass. We've utilized StreamYard for a lot of the town hall events and the Connect with Yasmin events throughout the campaign. And I mean, Saji and Julia with our digital, Portia with some of our messaging, Lance with some of the website stuff, James with the press releases. I feel like I'm forgetting people. That's the harm when you start doing lists. But the team is amazing, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without the folks who really, know all the logistics of the yard signs, of how many mailers we need to get out, when do they need to get out, fine tuning the messaging, when to respond, when not to respond. So I am forever indebted to the fantastic team, which was Team Yasmin, and I'm very grateful, very, very grateful.
Well, we're grateful that you're doing well, and we're rooting for you to win the whole thing tonight.
Wait, I think we can call it. Do you think we can call it, Carl?
I feel comfortable calling it.
Okay, so let's do this.
All right. All right.
It's official now.
You won.
That was a fantastic graphic. Thank you, Kareem, and thank you all. I mean, this is just, this is so humbling. This is just an idea, and I was grateful to get the early support of our then mayor, Megan Sally Wells, our current vice mayor, Alex Fish, our current council member, Daniel Lee. Of course, this year we got our Congresswoman, Karen Bass, and our state senator, hopefully our next supervisor, Holly Mitchell. So, having the support of our electeds really made the difference, I think, especially early on, for folks to even take me seriously, take the campaign seriously. So yeah, it feels great, and I'm very, very excited, very excited.
So, Yasmin, tell us what you're going to do the first day in office.
Well, you know what? I think that is an easy answer now. I was vice chair. Look at me. I was vice chair. I am. I am vice chair of the General Plan Advisory Committee. So we want to make sure that we fill that seat. We want to make sure that someone who is amplifying equity, and hopefully we can get someone great to fill that seat, because we absolutely need to continue the work of the GPAC, making sure that we're thinking about our housing, transit, safety, land use, all of the things. So that's a soft answer to that question, but we absolutely need to get it done. So I feel comfortable landing there for the first thing.
Yasmin, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Freddie Pusa. Do you think the negative campaign that you've been subjected to helped you?
I think overall, just as I guess now a politician, it was helpful to just help me build my armor, because it was really hurtful. I don't think the idea of making sure that everyone is experiencing our city services in a way that is fair and equitable is radical in any way. I didn't think that was something that would be controversial. I would hope it would be something that, our officers and everyone in our community would be able to sign on to and invest in. So it was really hurtful to see, images with an X over them, especially in the current political climate where we're in. And so that was scary, hurtful, all of those things. But it did mobilize folks. I remember we did get a lot of requests for yard signs, and folks wanted to start volunteering. So I think it made the stakes of the campaign a little bit realer for folks who might have checked out or might have been more interested in maybe races in other states, or more critical races. And it made folks realize that what's happening in Culver City is really important in our future. Making sure that we have a progressive council was top of mind for folks. So I know, I wish it didn't happen, but when you zoom out and see the bigger picture, it did engage folks who maybe, wouldn't have been as involved in the campaign or in our city council race. So hey, it backfired on them. I think they hired someone, so they shouldn't hire them anymore. They should.
I was saying earlier, they seem to specialize in exactly this kind of thing, representing this marketing firm seems to specialize in representing police departments against council members or something.
But listen to that, Franklin. That's something that is in the milk and clean. We gotta reevaluate that. These are public servants. Again, my late father was a police officer. It's a service. We want to make sure that folks are safe, and when things happen, we want to make sure that we can trust and reach our sworn officers. So hopefully we can resolve this disconnect. Again, our acting chief, Sid, is a very charming, very nice person. I've spoken with him on several occasions, and hopefully there is a path forward and we can continue to move. I ran very unapologetically. Sometimes people question me doubling down or really committing to that 50% reallocation because of the climate and the ads and all of that. But I'm really proud that I didn't walk away from that, because it's what our community was asking for. Folks, again, centering folks who are closest to the harm is incredibly important for me. So I'm proud that we didn't walk away from that. And I'm also proud that our neighbors didn't get scared. They were able to hear that this is something that's really important. Safety for all doesn't mean that, tomorrow there's no, we're 50% tomorrow. It means that we are invested in a system of safety that maybe policing probably will include other services or other options for safety, but being open to that. And right now it looks like from the GPAC survey and the public safety survey, it looks like folks are most interested in investing in mental health services or alternatives to policing for mental health supports. So I think that is an easy place to start with a pilot program. Hopefully we might be able to make some waves toward doing that next year. But just because we've done something one way for this time doesn't mean that there isn't a better way. And we should be, thinking outside of the box. And thank you so much, Paula, and hopefully congratulations to you. And I was happy to see some of those early results. So yeah, I'm encouraged. And I hope that we can continue to do this really important work, and that folks were that it resonated with folks, and they're also committed to this vision of Culver City that is safe for everyone.
Yasmin, I have a question from Rebecca Ranatolo, and she's asking, how can city council member help our city to heal after this election?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think we should have, I don't want to say a debrief, but really look at what happened here and why it happened. At the time, I was, especially when Freddie and I were, we had red X's over our faces. And I also believe Daryl might have also had a image with an X over him as well. And how do we get here? And also I was surprised that we didn't see more folks saying, candidates or otherwise, saying hey, this is not okay. And we did see some of that. So I don't want to say that, folks did not speak out. But it's, again, a conversation about what our values are. And we're going to have to, and maybe with, I know Rebecca is the chair of the Human Relations Committee. So maybe with some joint sessions with the council and GPAC and the Human Relations Committee, but we got to get to the bottom of this. We got to talk it out, more education. I mean, because again, I don't think it is incredibly radical for everyone that's in our community to feel safe and to say like, hey, I'm committed to making sure that this happens. And that requires like looking at the bias and how people are okay treating other people or targeting certain people or really inviting harm to certain groups that have traditionally been underrepresented or in minority communities. So that requires a more deep dive conversation. And I hope that we can really have that conversation because a lot of heaviness came up. And I do think a lot of harm came up as well. So that's a great question. And that's something that hopefully we can partner with or, have listening sessions and or educational sessions about, hey, this is where the line was crossed. Let's make sure. I think all the candidates signed the fair practice thing, but our unions or other folks who are the outside money that's coming in, they don't sign that fair practice. So, yeah.
Yasmin, you arrived number one. Do you think you got a mandate now for equity in this town? By the way, before I let you answer, can you explain what is equity? Because it seems to me that a lot of people don't fully understand what it is.
Yeah, thanks for both questions. So to me, people often get equity confused with equality, where everyone gets the same thing. And people think that that's, or some people believe that that's fair for everyone to get the same thing. But equity really accounts for, again, zooming out and seeing the context of the historical wrongs that really occurred in our society, particularly in Culver City, with the history of us having a sundown town, having restrictive covenants in our housing that are in many of the deeds that some folks still have today. In addition to redlining, right? Black folks were not able to own homes here because of sort of the legacy of segregation and racism and all these things that show up today, right? Shows up in 2/3 of our renters being folks of color, whereas 1/3 of our homeowners are folks of color. So all of this, people like to say like, oh, that was a long time ago, or that doesn't matter, everything is the same now. But equity really helps us look at what folks or communities really need to thrive and be successful. And it really targets resources, tools, and the things that folks need to thrive. So I hope I'm a little all over the place. It's the end of the night, and I had 2 glasses of champagne because but I hope that answered the question. Really, equity is about how do we make sure that folks in our community are able to thrive. So to quickly answer the next question about a mandate, I think, again, making sure that I said in order for me to run, I wanted to make sure that I was able to bring my full self into the space. And, I make jokes. Sometimes I code switch, I'm a Black woman, I'm a single mom. I'm also an attorney, interim dean of students and director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm multifaceted, but I wanted to bring my full self into the space. And I'm grateful that has resonated with folks. And I think it does mean like, hey, I ran really clearly on these things. If we end up getting, the most votes, that means that, hey, it's resonating with Culver City voters and we should absolutely move forward on them. So I know I'm going to push no matter where we land. So if I get on the council, I'm going to push. So join us, show up, public comment, continue to organize because we're going to need support to do this equity work. But yeah, I'm all for this. This looks really good.
Again, Pete, do you have any question?
No, I just like to say thanks for running and doing a great job. You've been at this a while now. I remember almost a year back or something.
Yep. We had our launch on November 10th in Dr. Kelly Kent's backyard.
Yeah, I was there. I remember.
So, yep. And we started early. We knew how difficult it was to raise money for women of color, Black women especially. And of course, the name ID. I knew, it would be an uphill race. And then, of course, COVID came and made it that much harder because, again, I was so looking forward to continuing to knock on doors. I had knocked for Holly Mitchell and Measure K in the past, and I really enjoy connecting with voters in that way. And man, COVID took all that away. But I'm grateful that we were able to still connect in this virtual space, mailers, having meet and greets. So I'm grateful that it still resonated with folks, even though we're in this time where we have to Zoom.
Yasmin,
Well-
thank you so much for coming with us. Thank you and congratulations for this historical win. You will be the first female African American, the first African American female. I am French. African American female.
It works either way.
At the console. This is historical. So wow, I'm so impressed and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kareem. Thank you, Pete.
Same here. Thank
for-
you.
For the Dem Club support. That was huge. Kareem, thank you for, again, all the tech magic that you make. So I'm so
And the yard
grateful.
sign.
I'm sorry.
And the yacht sign.
And the yard
And the yard signs.
colors. I mean, like all the things, I'm so lucky to have had you on the team, and Pete, for your advice and your wisdom and just being, open to hearing me out and giving me a shot. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for this time. Again, the broadcast is awesome. So very impressed with how you all are meeting this moment. So thank you again.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thanks for
Have a
coming.
great evening. Have a flute
Congratulations.
for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So now we have Sydney Kamlager coming, right?
Yes.
Kareem?
Yes, we do.
It looks like we have State Assembly member Sydney Kamlager.
Hello.
Right now introducing. Hello, Sydney.
Hello, Pete. How are you?
Very good. How are
And
you?
how-
We declared you the winner, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Well,
You're officially the winner as far as our club's concerned.
I'm officially the winner according to this club. And thank you,
Yes.
Kareem.
yes, I think it's time to play it.
Let's play.
All right.
Thank you. He's the first mayor, the first husband. He will
The
always be
former-
the former.
Former first man of Culver City. First
That's
mock.
right. The FFM of the CC.
Yes. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm so impressed.
Well, there's so much going on tonight, isn't there? There's the federal stuff that we just are trying to wrap our heads around, but then there are all these amazing things that are happening across California and locally. And Culver City, once again, has proven that it is a progressive center in Los Angeles. So congratulations on Measure B. And congratulations to Yasmin, who will be the first African-American woman on the city council for Culver City. And now more than ever, it's so important that we have that kind of representation. So this is exciting.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It seems like you were lucky. You had the easiest campaign of the whole election cycle, don't you think?
Well, maybe it's because I was, maybe the universe decided to do that this time because there were so many other important races on this ballot that I was working to help pass. I was certainly helping to make sure that Holly Mitchell would be our next supervisor for the 2nd District. I was working to make sure that Proposition 16 was going to pass, working to make sure that Proposition 17 was going to pass, working to make sure that Proposition 20 was going to fail. So we were doing lots of phone banking for Christy Smith to help her get to Congress and doing all that we can to make sure that Biden and Harris secure the White House and the vice presidency. So I think my plate was full with all of these other races. But, I also get up every day and think about the constituents of the 54th and what I need to be doing legislatively. And so grateful that, people understand what I'm doing and what I'm fighting for and still have faith in me, and incredibly honored to have the support of Culver City. Thank you, Carlene. And am humbled that I'm able to come to you all and continue to talk about the issues and hear from you and consider you all partners.
So, Sydney, tell us what will be your next big project for that new term coming up?
Well, climate resiliency. I mean, if you're not focused on environmental justice, then your head is in the sand. So certainly that I will continue to be at the forefront of state discussions around the criminal court system. We have lots more work to do. I'm going to reintroduce the Crisis Act, which is an incredibly important piece of legislation that, in fact, Congresswoman Karen Bass took a little bit from with a senator from Maryland to run it at the federal level. And we will be focused on healthcare, making sure, especially in the wake of this pandemic, that people have access to quality, affordable, public health care. So there's a long list, anywhere from wildfire management to making sure that we're building housing that everyone can afford. I mean, you name it. We need to focus on it, but those are some things that I'm going to be championing in 2021.
Well, great. Well, we're sure happy you won, Sydney.
Thank you,
And,
Pete.
This is great. I'm so pleased that you won again.
Thank you. So now Culver City has the unique privilege of having all African American women representing it. I mean, not completely, because there's some other folks on city council, but with Yasmin, I mean, my goodness, look at y'all.
Yeah,
I know.
The test case.
Assembly,
We're
County
doing pretty good.
supervisor, and also council.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
this is awesome.
yes, this is awesome. I want to thank you, Pete, for being an amazing president for this Democratic club. And I want to thank you, Kareem, for pushing this club into the 21st century with your technology. So just thank you so much. And really excited for you all. I hope you all are excited. Are you all excited about tonight's results?
I'm on the edge. I really want this all to be good news, so I'm still hoping it will be.
Well, you've had some good results with the Culver
I
City
know.
School Board.
I know. We've had some good results across the board. So
Across the board.
my main focus from the beginning has been on the national election, and that it doesn't look like it's going to be the landslide I was hoping for. But
Well, we just have to
I think we're
remember,
going to get there.
we have to remember that California is an incredibly strong and robust state, and we have a lot of leverage with the amount of money that we're able to generate for races and for candidates, and the amount of leverage that we have through the kinds of legislation that we pass. And so I am certain that Biden and Harris are going to win. I know that the Trump campaign was focusing on voter suppression and voter fraud, and we are going to say no to that. And regardless, come Wednesday, we are all going to get up and continue to talk about progressive policies that California needs to continue to champion. So it's a win, and it's a win.
Yeah, I agree.
That's correct.
That's the way to look at it.
We can change the world just here from California in Los Angeles.
We have a very big and long stick.
Assemblymember Sidney Kamlager, it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney.
Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you so much. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Bye-bye. Pete, what do we
Yes.
do? I think Carlo has some information about the measures.
Yes.
What's the latest?
So no new ballots have been counted locally, but the information is starting to come in statewide on the 12 propositions, and I just wanted to share some information on two that I know were really important to members of the club. One of them, Proposition 15, you'll remember, was started to roll back some of the Prop 13 taxes for corporate interests in order to fund our state at the level we always should have been funded at. It is so far incredibly close. It is less than 1% separating the yes and the no. So we're going to have to wait a bit longer to see how that one turns out. But hoping as an educator myself, I'm really hoping that we're able to pull out some cracks in Prop 13 and get some money back to run the state. Prop 16, as you remember, also education. This was related to rolling back Prop 209 and making it so that affirmative action could be used again to help diversify California public colleges. And that one is looking a little bit tougher. It's almost 10% margin right now with the no side winning. And so I'm still hoping against hope. I know the club took a position in support of both of those. So we'll see. But all the information from the state on the propositions is coming in little by little.
Thank you for all that information, Carlo. I'm pleased to announce our next candidate and surely winner.
My God.
Senator and LA County
Oh, here we go.
It's a party going on.
Dancing.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, Holly. Hi, Lene.
Sorry, we just dropped our DJ right in the middle of your Zoom. I apologize.
No,
Hey,
that's
Culver City Dems.
you woke everybody up.
Well, everybody should be awake. We
I know.
We still have stuff to monitor. We still got to make sure that we've taken control of our country, the White House. So everybody should be
That's
awake.
right. Everybody
to-
should be awake.
Stay awake and hold hands to make sure that happens.
I'm with you.
Holly Mitchell, how should I call you now? Senator Holly Mitchell or LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell?
We're not going to count those chickens before they hatch. So when you call me Holly.
Well, look at that margin. I mean, come on.
It's a great lead. I feel very, very good. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
62% to 38%. You know, let me say, Culver City Dems, you stuck with me early. Even when the county party made a different decision, you exhibited your typical independent progressive selves, and I deeply appreciate you for that. You know, you and about 11 other of the more progressive Dem clubs throughout LA County, you know, broke with the ranks. And I really appreciate that. You all really gave me that extra validation that I needed to be able to pull this off. And so this has been an amazing partnership, and I deeply appreciate you all.
Well, we love you, Holly.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate
We're your
it.
biggest fans.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what and you know how I feel about representing Culver City. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
So,
You guys look like official, you know.
Oh, we got dressed up.
You got ties on and
Oh yeah,
backgrounds. I'm impressed.
yeah. We're doing it the serious way this time.
You are.
we try to step up our game. There's so many other clubs. Ours needs to be the best.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure working for you, Holly. I'm so glad that you're gonna save life because now you are at the helm and with other progressive women. Tell us about how you feel and what will be your next move once you're in office.
So, you know, Kareem, I wouldn't allow myself to kind of get ahead of this moment, and I'm still trying to kind of reserve it because I want to see those final numbers. But you know, there is so much work to do now. It's just so much work to do, but you know, this is what I signed up for. This is the kind of work that led me to run for office in the first place. And so, you know, in that first 100 days, I'm going to look to pull together the leaders of the 9 cities that comprise the second supervisorial district, because we're really going to have conversations about what it's going to take to navigate our way out of this public health economic pandemic. So I'm just deeply concerned about how we all survive this. So those first 100 days are going to be critical, and You know, I'm a list maker, and so I'm sure I will be up half the night and tomorrow beginning to make lists and just kind of think through what makes sense. You know, transitions are important, and I look forward to having that opportunity. Yes, the first all-female board of soups. That's right, Councilman Lee. That's um, I just got a wonderful call from Supervisor Solis, who, you know, did endorse me. And she says she's, you know, looking forward to having a partner on the board. I am not naive. I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I believe it's the kind of work I'm built for and the kind of work that I have focused my entire professional career. So I'm looking forward to it. Rebecca Tuttle, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you very, very much. I know that was a split in that household. I felt very guilty. Back together and be family.
We're all friends again now.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know about you, but I think I feel confident that we at the club, we can call it. Do you think we can call it, Carlo?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, let's call the vote.
Ready?
Call
Go.
the election.
Culver City, thank you. That was amazing. Culver City, we're all going to be ahead of the curve. Thank you, Culver City.
Oh, it was such a pleasure to work with you and your outstanding campaign manager, Lainey. Lainey Richard, are you around? Can you come around?
Yes, here she comes.
Where's Lene? Yeah.
There she is.
Thank you so much, Kareem. Thank you for the word. We had amazing graphics. Thank you for sharing your artistry and your talent. Thank you, thank you.
It was the best team. I really loved it. I don't say the best because, you know, all teams are good, but it was a pleasure working with you. I worked with so many campaigns.
That's right. We were the most fun. We'll put it that way, Kareem. We were the most fun. So thank you, Culver City. I appreciate you. And again, the work has just begun. I look forward to, frankly, being home in LA full time now. And I hope that you all will invite me to the club to what I've learned and areas I need help as your new supervisor, knock on wood. So I hope I can continue to count on your support.
Holly, I got one question that is absolutely important, aside from police legislation and all that stuff. Are you going to keep doing Sipping My Tea?
You know, that was Annie's bright idea, my comms director in Sacramento. And you know what's so ironic about it? We have found when she did the analytics, and all the time and effort we put into our e-blasts and our mailers, more people open and follow us on Sipping My Tea than open those emails. So we're clear that it is a really effective way to get information out to our constituents. So we will probably have to continue Sipping My Tea. Yes.
All right.
Well, Senator Holly Mitchell, as of today, thank you so much for being with us and joining us. It was a pleasure working for you. I'm so glad you won. Pete, do you want to have the last word? Or Holly?
I just second that. We love you and we're glad you won, and we're backing you all the way.
Thank you very much. I love Culver City. You all have always been very supportive, and it gives me a great pride to represent Culver City in the state legislature, and now, knock on wood, on the Board of Supervisors. Thank you all. I appreciate the DIM Club and all of your activism and all your support. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you so much, Holly.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, what do we have on our program next? We've been getting so many guests here. We got Carlo back.
Coming next will be Kelly Kent in a few minutes.
All right. What's happening with
Do you have more numbers to tell us before Kelly arrives?
So I think we're in that waiting stage right now while all of today's ballots make their way down to Norwalk. And I don't know when we'll have more numbers locally. I do anticipate, like I said, there's probably about 30% more votes to count, but I think it's going to be some time before we get them. Nationally, it also looks like everything is stalled. The states that were easy to be called have been called, and we're really just waiting at this point on Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Michigan and Wisconsin, and we hope. We just sit here and hope for those four.
Gina needs the StreamYard link.
Oh, okay. Let me send it to you. Can you send it to her if I send it to you?
Up. Okay.
So I have, my sense is that one, the presidential election, we're probably holding off until tomorrow at the earliest to get those results in. Unfortunately, it is sort of in a holding pattern while all of the late votes get counted.
Okay. Well, I was looking at the news. What's going on with America? It seems like it was a done deal, and once again, a nail biter indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think this is another reminder of the need to get rid of the Electoral College. It looks, last time I checked, Biden had well over 1 million votes over Trump, and no one even cares about that. In fact, when I was watching TV earlier this evening, they weren't even telling us the popular vote because it means so little at this point. And we're relying on white voters and a very small segment of the population to determine national elections. It's not a good system. I still have hope. I'm still hoping that he pulls it off, but it's not going to be the kind of landslide that I was hoping for.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to go through the gruesome process of attacks and defense and so on forever until Trump will drown us onto crazy tweets.
Yeah. One thing that I think is going to be really interesting to look at is going to be the way that the Latino vote and African American vote came in this time, but especially the Latino vote.
Send it to you.
Everything that I've seen so far has shown that the Latino vote may have voted more. Latino voters may have voted more for Trump than 4 years ago, which is sort of shocking. And I think we as a country are going to have to figure that one out. What happened? What happened there?
Yeah, I asked. That's the thing I don't understand. Latino voting for Trump. I don't get it. I'm sure there is a underlying reason for that, but it's not clear to me. So hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the pundits and the exit polls show. My immediate thought, and I've taught in schools here in Los Angeles and worked in schools here in Los Angeles for 13 years. I know primarily Latino students. I keep in touch with a lot of them, and I've been shocked at how many of them are supporting Trump, especially male students. We're going to have to do some real digging as a country and soul searching. What is it that's appealing here? How can we reach, and how can we set up policies as a Democratic Party that's going to attract voters back, white working class voters and Latino voters? This is a long-term project, but we're going to have to start it right away.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking at that front page, and Trump wins Florida. When you're running the show here, I can't see exactly what's going on at the national level. In a way, I'm glad it's not happening. Peter, do you have any question or any information?
No, I was hoping for that landslide too, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like we're going to be dragging this thing on for a while. I still think Biden's going to win, but it's going to take lawyers at this point, because Trump's already said that he's going to fight it, starting like right off the bat. So, and what we were talking about earlier with Yasmin especially, and Freddie, the police union going after them and stuff, it's all coming from Trump. This kind of stuff is giving permission to this kind of thing, is coming out of out of the dark areas, and it's taking, it's showing what these police departments across the country are like, really.
Yeah, that is such a good point. I mean, really, here locally, we can extrapolate a lot of these issues that were front and center in this campaign. In Culver City, city council race, the issues that everyone's been mentioning of how to rethink policing in a way that supports everyone and makes everyone feel comfortable who lives here, and also the issues of housing and housing security and protecting renters were front and center in this campaign. And it seems like the voters, for the first time, were sort of okay with having that conversation, and we're not taken in by the police union and I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that the police union plus the big developers spent. It just did not seem to work. So it's going to be. I think you're right, Pete. That sort of national negativity has come into our community, but thank goodness it doesn't seem to have worked here.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to fix it at national level. We're gonna have to go through weeks probably of uncertainty at this point nationally. I would think. Yeah.
Okay, it's time to announce our next candidate and surely winner, Kelly Kent.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Welcome. Looks like
How's everyone?
we're doing good.
Good. I'm
Congratulations.
gonna plug in a mic.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. I just got back from Paula's house. I was riding my bike. So I'm a little schwitzy, but I had to celebrate with her in person. I couldn't not do it. So we had a little shot of fancy tequila, and then I rode back to come say hello and thank you to all of you.
Well, thank you for doing that. Looks like it agreed with you, that bike ride. You look healthy and full of energy.
Did you see those numbers? Woo woo!
Yeah, really impressive.
Very
okay, guys, I
impressive.
think we can safely call it for Kelly. So let's do
Let's
this.
do it.
Let's do this. Here it is.
All right. Congratulations.
It's pretty.
I'm
It's
so
pretty
glad
great. It's pretty. I wish I could celebrate all of the things all at once. There are many things to celebrate. I'm really excited about our soon-to-be supervisor Mitchell. Super excited about that. I'm very excited that Ms. McMorrin is our top vote getter for the city. I am just really looking forward to working with her. And I knew she would be number one. I knew that this city has been craving her. But there are some other things that are keeping us all on edge. So I know you've all been talking about it, but I'm really anxious to see. I don't know what the latest is on Prop 15. Maybe you all could tell me real quick, but I hear it's not winning.
I don't know. Maybe Carlo.
Carlos said it was neck and neck. It was right within 1%.
It was losing by just less than 1% when I last, but it kept going back and forth, flipping.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm holding out hope for Prop 15. Measure J, I hear good things about. So some things to celebrate, some things to celebrate, some things to really hold on to our seats for.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you want to thank some member of your team?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Is this that moment?
It is that moment.
I'm very happy to do that. Yeah. I do have a little bitty list here. So I'll try to look at you all while I make sure that I do my list, because they're very important people that I do not want to forget. So I have to start by thanking, of course, my husband Hector, who's I'm certain not watching, but I know my parents are watching. So I will thank them very vociferously, because it is and Kareem knows this better than anyone. It's no small thing to be the spouse and the loved one of someone running for office and then someone serving. It is at times quite painful. So, and then of course it's very rewarding, and you do feel like you're part of a bigger picture, and that you're making an impact for your community in ways that you can see. I really have to thank Patricia Garcia, who was my treasurer again for the second time, and she has just been an uplifting spirit for me. And she's only ever worked on winning campaigns. So you all, if you're thinking of running, you should get Patricia. And I had a really powerful group of women lifting me up this campaign that I hadn't had in the past. And they are part of a team that became an equity subcommittee on the PTA at Lynn Howe, which is my local school where my kids went. And their names are Marina and Abby and Sarita and Latoya. And we will hear more from them in this town. They are a powerhouse together, and each as individuals, and they gave me legs to stand on. I have to thank Kareem Sally Wells once again, as well as a good local friend, Ronnie Cass, for helping out with graphics and design. I really have to give shout outs to, of course, Megan Sally Wells, my mentor, and the other electeds in this town who supported me, and also Paula, the endorsements and the encouragement, and especially encouragement for me during the attacks that my family received from the Police Officers Association. That was a big deal, and I really appreciated it, and it went down publicly and privately. My mom and dad, my dad, my mom delivered signs. The Sally Wells family really came through. Lucian and Emilian helped staple signs for me. The Perecks sent their son to help deliver signs. The Seaburgers sent their son to help deliver signs. I had a lot of young helpers. I had literature drops from supporters. And then Stephanie and Anthony Laredo came through last minute with some public relations and social media pushes that were huge. Stephanie Laredo, thank you so much for that. You really came through. And I can't not thank my dearest friends, Joanna Brody and Suzanne Mand, for just being there by my side, holding my hand. Last but not least is Les Grant, was my campaign manager. And he's new in town, y'all, but you already know a little bit about him. And he really was a true leader on this campaign. He was a visionary, but more importantly than all of those, he was my political backbone. It really helped because I had some tough times this campaign, and even before the campaign started, I had some doubts about how resolute I should be in some positions, and he really helped me see that the mandate was with the constituents, and that is always the bigger picture. And so I will carry his voice with me into my next term, and I'm really grateful for the Democratic Club support and all of you. Thank you so very, very much.
Kelly, you run a real campaign before, and now you run a campaign under a pandemic. What are the differences that you encounter?
Yeah, I don't like this kind. I think the biggest loss is that candidates get something walking door to door that they can't replace in any other way, because many people do not give their phones to the political data systems. And so there are people that you will never interact with except when you're campaigning, canvassing door to door, because they will not come to a meeting. They will not call you. They will never email you. They will reach out. But if you come to their door, they will have something to say, and they will have an opinion about how you should do your job. And it's something you need to hear. You know, it's your constituents' perspective, and it's your constituents' concerns. And so I that can't be replaced. And it is an experience set that is really invaluable. So I'm sad that we didn't all get to do that this time around. It's a loss. I think it's, a real loss to democracy, but we made do. And, I ordered way too many signs this time around. Kareem, do you want them? I have like 300. I have 200 extra gators. Who wants those? You can have them. I'll put them on Buy Nothing. I do have, I noticed that we have a tiny bit of time, but I did want to say a little thing that is not just thank yous.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right time.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to say a little thing. Because the last time, so it's hard not to be able to have a victory party, of course, in person, but you do need to be prepared for all of the scenarios. And so last time when I won in 2015, in large part, thank you to the Democratic Club as well, I gave this big speech about how my husband and I, Hector, are very different. And that we have come together and we have this strong relationship. We have incredible children. That we were very politically different and that we're landing really differently for September 11th in particular. And I told this whole story about building bridges, and that was my whole thing at that time about the factions in Culver City and the bridge building. And I planned to be that person. That's the elected that I was going to be. But I've been through a first term now. And I did try that. I tried really hard to bridge that divide. And I can look back on 5 years, and I actually don't think it was as efficient as I'd hoped or as effective. Because guess what? I'm not married to all those different opinions and approaches and political viewpoints. And so we don't have the luxury of time to work out our kinks on that level. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, the differences are still there, but we don't have that time. And so in thinking about how I'm going to do it differently in my second term, I do have a different approach in mind, and I did want to share it, which is that I'm absolutely committed to remaining super accessible, super responsive. I really want to continue to be a good listener. I have absolute respect for the idea that we're all on a spectrum. We're all on our way towards centering folks of color, but at various different points on that spectrum, myself really included. We're all on our way towards writing like correcting the ship, and reimagining all of our institutions to be racially just, to be inclusive. And so I do have intentions of being adaptive in my leadership. And specifically, I actually really plan to do a lot of professional development in that area over the next year. It's called adaptive leadership. But I've also come to understand that pissing certain people off is a measure of success, and that making others uncomfortable is precisely part of the work. And so this next term, rather than being Pollyanna-ish, kind of about bringing all the sides together, I'm committed to leading so clearly that there's no ambiguity about the direction in which we're headed. And I hope folks are willing to do the work to buy in on that. But I'm also fully prepared to get commitments from the rest. Commitments, not always buy-in, because the timeline is not forgiving at this moment. We're in a rush. We don't have the luxury of being gentle and bringing every single one of us along with the full philosophical buy-in. And so in lieu, I'm going to be working with commitments. In lieu of that buy-in, I'll be working with commitments. My leadership, it needs to stand firm with no equivocating. And it doesn't mean I won't reflect. I will continue to reflect. And it absolutely still means that I'll be listening to every voice, and especially those that are traditionally marginalized. But it means that being resolute is the only word from my standpoint at this juncture in time. And so my intention is to inspire most and to trust that the rest will either come along or take a step back for the time being. And I wanted to share that with all of you.
Good. Yeah, well, I'd like to congratulate you again on this big win.
Thank you.
And my hat's off to anybody who runs for a job like this. They're very hard. They're very thankless. And I admire you greatly for what you do. And thank you for helping the city and helping all of us.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Dem Club.
Okay, I'm in contact with Paula, who should be here any minutes. In the meantime, we have our next guest, Gina Harris. Gina, are you ready to go?
There she is. Hi, Gina.
You guys know I'm doing two things at once. Hold on. Okay. I have the stream. So with the Zoom right now, I have the StreamYard streaming through the Zoom. We were able to figure it out, even though there's some audio issues, but it's still streaming right now. So I had to go get my iPad to be able to do this. And then I'm connected on my phone to make sure I have audio. So millennial power right there.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead, Pete. You're the president.
I was just going to say hello. Go ahead.
So, Gina, how do you feel with those results at the national level?
Oh, sweet tiny Jesus. I was actually hoping, like everyone else, to see a bigger margin. I was expecting, I wasn't expecting it to be a blowout, but I was expecting to see a bigger margin here. I know that this goes down to strategy. And so I don't agree that the Democratic Party at the national level exercised all of their power and utilized all of their base to create that gap that was needed to give us an election result tonight. That's nicely putting it.
Yeah, they were really interested in getting John Kasich on board, etc.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because he's definitely going to help us win.
Right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. It's not going to be quick, though.
That's what worries me. We
Yeah.
know that the Republican strategy has always been to stack the courts, and they have. And so if this comes down to a legal battle, which it looks like it's heading that way, with a court stacked on the conservative side, I truly am worried. Even if it still legally plays out for the Democratic side, I think that they will have just enough influence to be able to sway and blow that breeze a little bit towards their end. That's just my own personal opinion, but I really didn't want it to be this close.
Yeah, it keeps coming back to the Electoral College. It's just the worst thing.
Yeah. I still say California could be adopted by New Zealand. The sentiment is up. The Republic
I give that some
of
thought.
Cali Zealand, like the new Republic of Cali Zealand. I kind of like that. I mean, whatever.
Might work.
Might work.
Gina, I know you are really big on healthcare. What do you think we're going to be able to do once Biden is elected, hopefully?
We'll be able, as long as we can keep the pressure up. We know Biden has said that, he's not pro Medicare for all. And that wasn't a big surprise there. But I know that right now it's easier to organize under a Biden administration than it is a Trump administration. Even though I can argue why single payer healthcare is a very actually financially conservative thing. Because with the savings at the end of the day, it really is, to me, financially conservative to do it this way. But you can't argue with irrational people, and we know Republicans are irrational. So under a Biden administration, the National Nurses Union, they have lobbyists, and a lot of progressive organizations who have learned how to organize at that national level will be able to keep that pressure up and keep that conversation going and keep the public opinion strong, to where they may not have a choice but to expand coverage and to move towards Medicare for all. In my current role and at work, I know that this won't be just one day we go to bed, the next day we wake up, everyone has insurance and is covered. But I know that we can aggressively push to get people covered and get our most vulnerable populations, especially our seniors who are falling through the gaps of Medicare like no tomorrow, covered as soon as possible, because they're losing their entire life savings just to pay for a nursing home care, So that's my hope. But like I said, if it doesn't play out this way and I still have to push this under a Trump administration, I think that arguing it the way I'm kind of manipulating it in my mind to make it seem financially conservative could work. I may need a little bit of maybe some drugs. I might have to drug a few people, but nonetheless, it's all for the greater good. I'll take one for the team.
Gina, thank you so much for coming and commenting on the national level, the national election. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. I just want to point out that you are running a Facebook Live times to times, and you're doing awesome. I love following you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just have my rants. You know, I really want to focus on educating people about the electoral system. I think that that's where we're going wrong in American politics. And Kareem, you know, you're not being from here. Especially, I find that a lot of like European countries right now are kind of looking at us like, really, dude? But, you know, I really think that we have to really push for electoral education, and that is what's going to give us our power and increase our voter turnout. And we know when we have high voter turnout, we win elections. And that's why I'm worried about the presidential election, but it's going to be a continued education. Everyone is charged with educating about the electoral system. If you are active in this club, that means you know something about politics, and that means that you are charged with showing the way to someone, just like the Mandalorian. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go back to the Zoom, and hopefully the audio is still coming through over there.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Gina.
All right.
Pete, it's time to invite our next guest.
All right, we have one of our school board candidates, Paula Amazola de Herrera. Welcome, Paula. How are you feeling?
My stomach has been in knots for
I'll bet.
3 days. I've been cooking up a storm to utilize all that energy into something productive. I think I fed like 20 people today in a COVID 6 feet distant and in a traditional, very traditional way. I made pozole. It takes 2 days to make, and I just shared in community. So that's how I'm feeling. Like I built community today.
I'm Paula.
And Dr. Kelly Ken is back.
I didn't know I was back.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
back.
surprise from me. I just wanted to make sure the two of you were together because you're going to work together. Paula, how do you feel working with Kelly?
I'm really excited for working with Kelly. This is a story I don't share often, and I think it's time to bring it to light. You know, Kelly, I'm gonna call it for what it was, harassed me for a year to run. And she every 2 to 3 months would call me and said, okay, are you ready to run? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm doing this. And so anyways, she was very, very instrumental in convincing me to run. And here I am, finished the campaign with my family still here, strong and thriving. And it seems like the results are looking favorable.
Yes.
It's looking good.
Actually, I think we can call it, don't you think, Pete?
I think we should call it, yes, for both of them.
Okay, so let's do this. Da, 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 da. Here. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Paula, will you be the first Latina on the council?
I would be the first Spanish-speaking Latina, progressive values from immigrant parents, first generation, first to go to college, first to go to grad school, first to get an appointed position, and now first to be elected position in my family. So.
Wow. That's
Paula,
impressive.
I'm sorry, Pete.
I just said that's impressive.
She's impressive. I think Kelly will not disagree with that. Paula, would you like to thank some members of your team?
Absolutely. I first want to start with my mighty phone bankers and texters. I want to say a special thanks to all of you for having the courage to do that, because it takes a lot of courage to call complete strangers. But I first want to, so thank you to all those volunteers. I want to send a special shout out to a couple of high school students who worked on my campaign. Special thanks to my daughter, Maya, who wasn't crazy about the idea of running, but she stepped up and she texted thousands of people. She called hundreds of people, and she had some really nice conversations with a couple of elder ladies. And so I'm very grateful for her. A second high school student I want to thank is my nephew, Donovan. He's so shy in our family, but he was so eloquent on the phone, convincing people. Even when they were like, I don't know about her, he would like go the extra mile, try to convince him. Even if the others were like not progressive, he would convince them. So he was my convincing tool. That he was awesome. Just we will have stories to tell about his phone banking. And there's a third high school student, Ben, and Ben has wicked film editing skills. And I just want to say he has a great talent, and it's important for us to really elevate their talent and their voice. It's so important, and we created a wonderful video of cooking Latino food from Chef Jose. And it's a great product to have as this campaign. And we're going to be sharing it with our donors as soon as I can breathe a little bit. So now for those who did the everyday work, I want to say a special shout out to Julie, my campaign manager. I think we talked every day since I called her that first time, and she said, "What are you signing me up for?" She's never run a campaign, and she was my campaign manager, and she did a stellar job. I also want to thank Leah. I'm an English learner, and if it wouldn't have been for Leah editing, reviewing every single piece of writing that I did, I don't think I would have had the success, because she's a fabulous editor. She's also I don't know if she's gonna like this, but she is like Pelosi. She whips votes, and she got. I was the only candidate who received all top 3 endorsements. I received Karen Bass, Holly Mitchell, and Sydney Kallager, and I think a big component of that was because I had Leah on my team. And then my other secret, but very silent partner in crime was Noah. Noah Satz did our data day in and day out. And when I was ready to quit, he would call me and be like, I think you should still call. And I think you should still text. And here's who you should text. And so he was our data manager. It's so important for us as campaign people to really know that we need to have those data skills, and we need to ensure that we listen to what they're telling, what the data is telling us. And then, of course, my husband, Will, he did a lot of IT support. As you can tell, we had Zooms every day for every single activity. And Adam, he did all the photography. Pat and Katie. And a special shout out to Harper. She's an alumni from CCUSD. She did all the graphic design. And I know that there are others that have been instrumental and key, but I don't want to bore everyone. So from the bottom of my heart, you all know who you are. Because if you don't know, you will know tomorrow, because I'm going to call you. So those are the people I want to thank. Sorry, I'm so long-winded about this.
Oh, no. Thank you. Congratulations again.
No problem. Thank you so much for allowing this time to talk with you all. I did want to say a special shout out to my family. My sister is actually doing the treasurer role. My sister Eva. I almost forgot her. And my father sent me a very sweet Facebook Messenger yesterday, and it says. He says, as you wait for tomorrow, do not forget that hope and faith die last. And being great is not the only one who wins. Being great is the one who competes. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. So cheer up. So I had not even spoken to him that I was feeling a little sad because of just thinking that, I was not going to win. And he sent me this text, and it really made an impact. And I wanted to share it with all of you because it's so important. Family is so important to me, and it's been throughout this campaign.
Well, thank you for coming to our StreamYard meeting, our Facebook and YouTube meeting, and congratulations again on your win. And
congratulations.
I'm
so happy for you.
I'm
so happy for the kids.
Yes, thank you so much. And can I just end by telling those who are still with us, tomorrow the real work begins, because this has been more of a PR, a promotion, like, hey, look at me. I'd like to do some work. And so tomorrow the work begins. So I just really want to make sure that everybody understands that, yes, I signed up to do this job, but the job cannot be done with those around us. And I need the high school, I need the middle school, I need the elementary schools to please communicate. Because if you don't communicate, then we will not know what's happening and what are the things we need to improve and work on. I have a good hunch. And so I know that I have a few priority areas that I've been talking throughout the campaign, but tomorrow the work begins. And I hope that you will join me.
It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
so now we have coming up, we have Megan Sally Wells and Thomas Small.
Indeed.
There they are. Hello.
Hello, Thomas. Hello, Megan. I don't know you very well.
This is a good way for you to start to get to know each other.
Yes.
So,
well,
you are leaving the council. How are you doing? How do you feel?
I feel like I'm graduating. It's been a fantastic experience to be on the council. The kind of progress we've been able to make in Culver City is, above and beyond, I think, what I thought we could do. And the work continues, and it's just so reassuring to see Yasmin come in first. And I know she's just absolutely going to lead the way, take us to the next level. And hopefully Freddie will keep his third place. It's looking like it's going to be close. We're going to have, more results coming in. But I have high hopes for this next council, and just thank everybody for all their support over these last 8 years.
Thomas,
well, there we go. Well, I can't agree with Megan more. What an exciting time this is. I mean, we've seen so much progress, over these last, this last decade, really, and now we're I think poised to make even more progress with this new council. I think they have a mandate to continue this progressive direction that we've been in, and I think it's really exciting for the city and really exciting for the region. I'm so Holly Mitchell, there in the supervisor's seat is going to make a fantastic partner for Culver City, and I just think that this is maybe the most hopeful moment for our city and our region politically that we've experienced. So it's very, very exciting. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you all so much for all of that hard work.
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to both of you guys for their work on the council. I mean, I know I have some small idea of how much that takes out of a person and how much of your time it takes and how hard it is, and how little thanks you get. And I appreciate all you guys have done. You've both been great council members.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, and people don't realize how many weekends get wasted in reading.
Oh,
wasted. I mean, that's the right.
I can't imagine.
Lost for me as a husband into a budget, into reading the console. You know when mother is coming in the house. So it is truly a service that nobody fully realized for just the price of a step in typing. It is really, really a huge amount of work, and people don't fully realize what it takes. I have a question for the two of you. I'm sorry, Thomas, you was about to say something?
Well, I just wanted to sneak in one thing. I just think that I'm so proud to be here with Megan Sally Wells, because I really think that she has changed history here in Culver City in an incredible way over the years that she served, and over and really, as much as anything else, by encouraging all the rest of us to join in with her and lighting that way to it's an incredible history, and I'm sure it's going to be said plenty, but I think it can't be said enough to recognize that, and I'm really proud to, and it's been an incredible pleasure to be part of it, to experience really the elegance that in the way that Megan works, as a collaborator. It's been really a pleasure over these years, and thank you, Megan.
Well, thank you, Thomas. It's been outstanding to be able to work with you and to rely on you in terms of making progress for our city. And I think it's not me personally that just brings these things naturally to the council. I think it's more of a philosophy. And the philosophy is about listening to the people and uplifting voices that are least heard, and making sure that we're paying attention to the most vulnerable and not the folks with the most. And so it's kind of bringing activism into office. And that's why it's so exciting to see people like, especially Yasmin and definitely Freddie, bring that kind of grassroots activism to the table, because, when you know what it's like to speak to the council as a resident and somebody who's working with other community members, you have to never forget that when you're leading. You have to never forget what it feels like to be on the other side of the dais. And I'm really confident that they'll continue to do that. And I also just need to give a huge shout out to Gary Silbiger, who was the lone progressive in an incredibly hostile council, and who encouraged me to run. And then Barbara and Carlo definitely did a lot of encouragement there. And without their encouragement and their kind of leading the path, it never would have occurred to me to take this step. So I really owe a big debt of gratitude to the Silberger Honig family.
Absolutely.
I have a question for the two of you that everybody is probably already asking you, but let's do it online. What are you going to do after that? What's your next step? Thomas?
Well, I have started an organization called Culver City Forward, which is an alliance between the large companies in Culver City that have a stake here to help the city and the community with resources and funding to do what the city can't do on its own. So it's been very challenging in this COVID period to launch this enterprise, but we're off to a good start, and I'm very excited about it. We'll really, after now that the election is behind us, we'll really be able to be moving forward on this over these next few months. So thank you, Kareem.
Would you, Thomas, would you consider, well, if you do have time, and I know it's takes time, but would you write something on the project you're working on for the newsletter? We'd like to, or sometime you could come to a meeting possibly also.
I'll do both. I'll do both.
No, it would be great if you would do both. That's what we'd love to hear more about it. It sounds like a great idea, or definitely worth trying. There's a lot of big companies here.
There are, and we need to, they need to participate and be good citizens, and that's a way in which I hope to continue, to help continue to make Culver City a leader in that way, in bringing about more equity in that way.
Well, keep us posted. Let us know what we can do to help.
So, Council Member Megan Sally Wells. Former mayor. Megan, what's your plan? I'd like to know.
Yeah. You should be the first one you tell.
Yeah, I actually don't know. My plan had been that when I stepped down as mayor, I was going to really start looking for a job in earnest, and then COVID hit, and so I've been a little bit remiss in job hunting, but my hope is to continue the work in phasing out oil drilling in Culver City and in all of Los Angeles and in the state of California as well. I think this has been we've made a tremendous amount of progress in Culver City in phasing out oil drilling. And so that just needs to continue. We need to see it through. I've been very active I'm the vice chair of a group called Elected Officials to Protect California. So we're doing a lot of statewide work along those lines. And so hopefully I'll be able to continue the type of work I'm doing today, but more with a nonprofit, even working for another elected official. I could definitely see myself doing that. So we'll see. If anybody has a great job, let me know. TBD.
All right.
Thank you both for coming.
Yes, thank you very much for all your work on the city council and for coming to our meetings and keeping us informed. Thank you.
Pete, I cannot be remiss and not thank my wife, Joanna, for everything. So thank you guys for inviting me.
You know, when you know.
And thank you, Kareem. Obviously,
Well,
yes, I do. And
let me say one thing. Let me add
your support at home. Nothing is possible. So.
Yeah, there's always someone in the house helping the other, and that's really important. So yes, Joanna deserves a lot of credit.
And so do you.
Maybe not as much as you, but.
All right, I'm going to add Cynthia Hart to that. She deserves a lot of credit too. She's been running the club's Zoom meeting this whole time and being co-president with me for the last 2 years. And so.
Okay, well,
thank you,
it's gonna be a
Cynthia.
wrap. Thank you, the two of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to bring back Carlo for a last recap of the numbers.
All right. Well, I wish I could say that we had lots of clarity at this moment, but unfortunately, that's not the case. I'm guessing about 70% or so of the Culver City ballots have been counted. I think it's all of the people who voted before today, basically. But they have not counted those last votes from today. And so I have a feeling it's going to be at least an hour or two before those come in. The good news is that I think there's enough of a distance in the school board race, in the county supervisor race, in both of these measures, most likely, that unless today's voters were dramatically different, I think we're probably seeing the results here. The one thing that I think is still a little unclear is the city council race, and of course the presidency. But in the city council race, the difference between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place is just a few hundred votes, and so even a couple percent different in the people who voted today could make a difference in who wins. So in the next hour or two, we'll see. And but like you both have been saying the whole evening, the good news is that we keep a progressive council majority with Yasmin almost for sure joining Alex Fish and Daniel Lee. And we've got 2 new school board members who are club endorsed. And those are huge wins, and not to mention a new county supervisor. So lots of stuff to celebrate here in Culver City tonight.
He was not able to come, but I would like to give a. I mean, can we say that Albert Vera is in? He's not here, but I think we can say a victory shout for Albert.
I think
Let's
so.
do it. Well, I think this is a big one because this is almost like a dynasty happening here.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think now. I'm not sure that we've ever had a father and son both serve on the city council in Culver City. We got really close with Chip Netzel, but I'd have to think about that. But I don't think we have. So this is like big news for our community.
Well, I know Albert has been always a generous man. He's been incredibly well. He has roots that goes really deep in the city, and despite the fact that he had a troubled past, he managed to go over it and gain the confidence and trust from the city. So this is good. And if you can hear me, Albert, congratulations. This is good because it's clearly. I don't know how many votes. I can't see that from the stat, but 18% is clearly a mandate also for you. So, congrats.
Yeah, and I think also, what you said earlier, Kareem, when you were talking to Daryl about Culver City really rewarding people who continue to be engaged, even if they don't win, is true. And every single person who's run for office and come in as the runner-up, and then run again, has won. Every single one since '98. And that's a lot of people. So I think for Freddie or for Daryl, if they don't end up making it this time, there's a model, as you described, to continue to be active and continue to give back and try again.
Yeah, that was the recipe that worked for Albert. Pete?
Yep.
I'd just like to say the same congratulations to Albert Vera. He's a nice guy, and I'm sure he'll do a good job on the city council. And I hope he seems to be the kind of person that you can talk to and reason with. And he definitely seems to want to represent all the people in the city. So we'll hope for the best. And it's been a mixed bag, but we did pretty well, I think, with from what I know so far. I want to find out more about the state propositions, but that'll take a while, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a wrap.
All right.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, the best president I ever had.
Well, I'd like to thank you for doing my job here on the on this meeting for me. I just sort of feel like I was standing around doing not much of anything, but happy to do it. It turned out to be a real nice evening, and I hope the club is engaged in all this and is rooting us on to try these things and see if we can find ways to communicate with people that work. And anything that works is good in my book. So,
you both set a new high standard here, so I hope you're ready to keep this going, because
I'm ready.
Culver City people are going to start expecting this every election.
Well, I'm not going to be president next term, but I'll be working on the newsletter and doing everything I can to keep the club going, and hopefully we'll get somebody else to run for an elected office in the club, and so there'll be an opening, folks, members out there who are listening. So start thinking about who's gonna be leading the club.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks for paying so much attention to politics, everybody who is, because more people need to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. To everybody still listening up, please join the club if you're not part of the club. You are welcome. We welcome everybody. Invite your friends. Tell your friends about the club. We need more members. The stronger, the better.
Yeah. We're our best fundraising method is getting more members. Even though each member only pays $30 a year to be a member for a calendar year, it's a great bargain, and we need more members.
Check out our website. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I'm sorry, I didn't have the handles ready, but we're there, we're around, and we're loud and clear. Carlo, thank you so much for being such a wonderful analyst.
Yes.
It was fun. It was fun. I wish we had more data to analyze, but it was fun to get a chance to talk with you.
Well, we'll have some. We're having a regular meeting on the 11th, and there'll be stuff to talk about there. We have a sort of an open-ended program about the election, so
great.
Everybody can. So definitely, please come to that meeting, and we'll have more strategy to talk about and planning, hoping.
Congratulations to everyone who won. If you're not winning this time, you'll be winning the next time. So keep faith and keep at it. Stay engaged.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Right. Good night.
Good night.